Arias and Clifton Collins Jr. This is really a special movie, and I'm glad that you all came because it's kind of a small one that's sort of been under the radar. So you will be our emissaries to like spread the word on this later on. But Clifton, you worked with the director and co-writer Clint Bentley and Greg
Cuidar.
On Trans-Pecos before this. And they have kind of an unusual technique where the two of them kind of like buddied up. They're both directors, and they're kind of like taking turns. But so it's sort of, it was Clint's turn to make this movie, and this is his world. His dad, grew up in the world of horse jockeys and the barns. It's like, I think we all have seen many racing movies, and we kind of know the drill, that story. But somehow I realized like we don't really see the people, kind of like in the damage it does to them. But tell me a little bit about just sort of like the step from having worked with on Trans-Pecos to, they were kind of building, that is specifically Clint was building this role with you in mind, and I think he kind of expanded the role for you to basically take the step from, we all know you from 70 plus credits, as one of the great character actors of the last decades, but this is not your first lead, but this is really, I feel like the role we've been waiting to see you do.
I appreciate that. They approached me with this script that they had written, and it was very tight. And I'm not exactly sure when the change came, but at one point they were like, "We're gonna rewrite it, and we're gonna make it more like Jackson's coming into it, and it's gonna be more about Jackson." And I was like, "Well, you guys already wrote a very well-written script. The script that they had written before, like I'd read twice, and usually in the second read I could do a deep pass on notes, and on the third read I go even deeper. And that's usually when I kind of start to ruffle their feathers or get the aha moments, as you say. But in this case, not to doubt their talent at all, and I still don't doubt what you guys can do, but I know what kind of work it takes to get this kind of a script. If you think you can write something equal to, or even close, I'd be happy with it, and I'm totally down. But they did ask me if it was okay, because I was ready to do what was there, because it was just such a well-written piece of art.
And that change was kind of like, was focused more on like the Gabriel or the younger newcomer character, and it's sort of like shifting it. It's really interesting to watch someone at your stage. I mean, we've seen it in other arenas, like The Wrestler, maybe Black Swan for a ballerina. That's a much younger exit,
I was up for that too.
Right?
Damn that me the Primus.
I basically feel like I could mention almost any movie from the last 20 years, and there's a pretty good chance that you were in there somewhere. You weren't in the lead in that one, but in the background somewhere. Moises, at what point?
In Greg and Clint vetting out the jockeys that were most likely to fit that role and be able to play in that role. Knowing that, I would, and knowing who that jockey was, I would spend a little extra time with them. And I wouldn't single them out. I would just, kind of like stealthily gravitate and kind of start to, build a rapport with them. And then they would talk to me about, I'm gonna do da-da-da, and just kind of get them at ease and, talk about their world. It's their world. We're just visitors and longing to be a part of this world and disappear within the world. So in doing so, our conversations were more often than not simply about what they do, and me just chiming in as though I were a jockey. So it kind of got them kind of loosened up and kind of got them out of the film mode. And I'm not the kind of actor that's going to come in and be like, it's time to talk to the actor guy with the guys. Like, I'll be showing more shit with you if you need help or whatever. I don't care. Hang on, you guys know the Phoenix. What am I going to do here? Just hang with the horses and you. I love it.
One of the things about the way this film was made, also, it's really talent and ability of these filmmakers to create a situation that we could shoot on a working track. You know, these people are all at work, living their lives, and part of the way they did that was we had a tiny crew, like 10-person crew, and all of us, you know, were there early and met these people and spent a lot of time with them. But it's, you know, Clifton worked more with the non-actors. I didn't have a ton of scenes with people, but it is hard to do. You know, it's hard to work with. They could just blow you off the screen so easily by doing, you know, so you have to think about tone like all the time, sort of just keeping in their world as opposed to them trying to come to you.
Yeah, yeah. Like how did that sort of like AA scene come about? You know, because that really feels very much like we're.
I mean, is that thing called what's the thing called?
That's exactly what I call it too. That's what it's called.
Oh gosh.
It's called the thing you forgot.
Anyways, that thing, was brought into my hotel room. So while I was watching like football games, I was just like, this thing, it's not as easy as it looks.
They stole
And that
it and
pain
put it
in my
in your
face
room, right?
is just pain. Sorry.
They stole it and put it in your room, didn't they?
Leo brought it.
Yeah, of course he did.
Like borrowed it for a few weeks.
Yeah, no, the guys, the jockeys were super, they really wanted to make us look good. And, you know, when I first arrived, a few of them thought I was a jockey. And
We almost lost Moises to the jockeys. When we're done, then you can jockey him up. Sorry, Lee.
But yeah, in terms of preparation, you know, getting comfortable with horses, even though I wasn't around them as much as Molly or Cliff. But yeah, it was tough also shooting in between races and getting off horses when your legs are here instead of like the normal position.
And getting off like you know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, with confidence. It was tough, but you know.
And they're not the kind of horses that we've all ridden before. I mean, you don't just ride one of these horses. They are incredibly sensitive, scary things. I mean, they're huge and yeah.
Bred to be skittish.
They have, rodeo horses you can do so many things with. One of the common things I found working on, even on something like Westworld, the clapper that you do before takes spooks them even more than the pistol fires. But with the quarter horses, they've got two triggers. The sound of that bell going off and the sound of that gate opening. And come out high water, those sons of bitches are gonna come out racing like dragsters. They're just like, wow, they're excited. Like you can feel the energy as they're walking up to the gate and the jockeys and the anticipation as a jockey. You get into that gate, you know, it's anywhere from what I'd say like a half second to maybe a second and a half, 2 on a slow day. But like, so you don't know, it's like, you know, as soon as everybody sets, like the last horse goes cha-chunk, it could be a half second, a second and a half, and then you hear that bell go, the gates go, it's just, you've got all this anxiety cranked up and this anticipation. On top of, you guys got the short version of the prayer. The actual prayer is like 45 fucking minutes. You're just like, oh my God, put me on a horse. I need some light shots. I'm first about to stop from sheer boredom. Like, I love God and all that hockey stuff, but goddamn, this thing it's not like the AME church where you're just jumping and singing. And this is like, shoot me now, please, throw me on a horse. So I think that helps. I think it's not just about if something bad happens, let's say the prayers. I also think it's like, I know you want some excitement, so let me bore the shit out of you and then get on my horse.
Well, so there's this kind of like
on Transpecos and then helping them with the first two or three, maybe 4 drafts before we even drove out. It's become part of their process, and I'm very, I don't know, I guess you could say proud to have helped to kind of usher that process in, because I think that's where you get all the real stuff, is when you have like-minded artists that you know are the right people heading the same direction versus there shouldn't be a conflict. It should be a discussion, a collaboration, and with like minds, you're going to go a lot further for the right reasons.
Yeah.
The scene where she asked me, "Oh, you reading for the bull or the cowboy?" I said, "I'm always the writer." I said, 8 seconds. She improvises 4. She's been hanging out,
Okay, that was
that was unscripted. Right? So 4 seconds, film 4. And of course, she's been hanging out.
It was pretty magical.
Yeah. And you would have written the bull if I know you would have.
I definitely asked.
You did, right?
But I do have a torn ACL. That was also on my own.
But I love too, there's things that someone
Everything kind of shuts down for a few hours in the afternoon, and then they race later in the afternoon and into the evening. So that was part of it too. But it's really wonderful to be working on something where you don't have 20 grips there isn't a system of this is how we make films. It takes a long time. Like you could kind of just rock up and shoot a scene, and then have a few hours.
And also the interiors would then be in the middle of the day.
We had the luxury of residing in the world, so it's like you're living in the world. We weren't staying at the Four Seasons. We were staying at the Courtyard Marriott. You know what I mean? So it's a place the jockeys could have stayed, and you emulate, you mirror, and you acclimate as quickly as possible. So thank you for your comment, because it's a traumatic when you delve into a world so deeply, and you're so we were embraced by everybody, and we were so privileged and honored to be a part of their world for this little while. It's traumatic to leave, just leaving alone. I just remember driving home and then just being incredibly sad. And I knew Clint and Greg were going to be really bad, because this was their second film. It's like I've done 100+ films, and it just never gets old when you get that close. These beautiful, humble, just that they live for these animals they love dearly, and vice versa. It's just so honest. It's just so honest. It's not fake, and you just don't want to leave.
Well, it can come away the way that a documentary might let you know, because how many of us have ever seen this world behind the barns, or understood just what abuse the jockeys put themselves through? Yeah, you two said you know this world, but that's something that I can hear in your responses too. You now have a respect for the world of jockeys, having made this film, that you couldn't necessarily have imagined. Just what a brutal kind of sport this is for them.
Yeah, I do think it's something we haven't. I hadn't seen it. We've seen, movies. We know what that movie is, and the get a special horse, and then you're not going to win, and then you win, and and this just wasn't that. I mean, it's what you want all your life is these kinds of parts, and they're not all like this, and these movies aren't all like this, and it's just. It's a tribute to these filmmakers that they were able to kind of create a place that we can do that.